The rain had just begun when Angela locked the office of Brooks Haven for the night. The shelter was quiet, the ocean only a faint roar behind the dunes. She checked the porch light, wrote tomorrow's schedule on the whiteboard, and reached for her keys. That's when she heard it. A single knock. Soft. Hesitant. Then another. Angela opened the door. A woman stood there, drenched, shivering, clutching a small metal box to her chest. Her hair was tangled from the wind, her eyes red as though she hadn't slept in days. "Can I help you?" Angela asked gently. The woman swallowed hard. I don't know where else to go." She held out the box. "This belonged to Robert Brooks. Your father." Angela froze. She hadn't heard her father's name spoken by a stranger in years. "Come inside," Angela said immediately. The woman stepped in, shoes soaked, breath trembling. Angela offered a towel, a chair, tea. She accepted none of it. She sat with the metal box on her lap, staring at her shaking hands. "What's your name?" Angela asked softly. The woman looked up. "Grace," she whispered. "Grace Turner." Angela frowned. "I don't think I've ever heard that name before." Grace nodded. "You wouldn't. He tried to keep us apart." Angela's chest tightened. "My father." Grace opened the box. Inside were a stack of old letters, a worn photograph, and a dusty USB drive. Angela picked up the photograph first. Her father, 40 years younger, smiling, holding a little girl. "Grace." Angela's breath caught. "Is that you?" Grace nodded. Tears filled her eyes. "He saved me," she whispered. "And he saved my mother." Angela sat down slowly. "Please, tell me everything." Grace wiped her face and began. 30 years ago, Grace's mother, Emily Turner, was running from an abusive husband. She had no money, no support. One night she stumbled into a bus station where a kind driver named Robert Brooks was finishing his shift. He bought Emily and her child dinner. He found a safe motel for them. And he paid for 6 months of rent. Quietly, anonymously. "He used to visit us," Grace said, voice trembling. "Not often. But enough to help us survive." Angela felt something twist in her chest. Her father. Her quiet, gentle, secretive father. He had carried this story alone. Why didn't he tell us? Angela whispered. Grace reached into the box and pulled out the first letter. A letter addressed to Robert. From Emily. Angela read. "Thank you for saving us. I know you want to protect your family from this burden. I promise, we will never disturb their lives. Grace will grow with your kindness, even if she never knows your name." Angela stared at the paper. "My God." Grace nodded. "He helped us for years. Until my mother died. After that, he visited less. Then one day he came with the metal box. He said, 'If anything ever happens to me, go to my daughter. She will understand.'" Grace's voice broke. "But I didn't come. I was scared. I didn't want to ruin anyone's life." Angela felt tears rise. "You're not ruining anything," she said. "You're filling in the pieces he never let us see." Grace pushed the USB forward. "He said this would explain everything." Angela plugged it into her office laptop. A video opened. Robert sat on his workbench, older, tired, but smiling. "Angela," he said, "if this ever reaches you, it means I trusted the world with one more of my secrets." Angela's heart pounded. "In my life, I helped 2 families. Yours, and Grace's. She and her mother were my reminder that kindness should never be measured or public. Some love is meant to stay in the shadows." He exhaled slowly. "But I never wanted you to resent her. Or think she took something from you. She didn't. Everything I built was for both of you, just in different ways." Angela covered her mouth. Robert continued. "If Grace ever comes to you, don't look at her as a stranger. Look at her as a reflection of who you could have been if someone hadn't helped you. Be her shelter, the way you became everyone's shelter." The video ended. Angela wiped her face. Grace wiped hers. Silence. Then Angela reached across the table and took Grace's hand. "My father didn't help you because he pitied you," she whispered. "He helped you because he believed in people. And now, I believe in you too." Grace finally sobbed, a deep, painful release. Angela stood up. "You're staying here tonight. And tomorrow, we're going to reopen this metal box together. Properly. As family." Grace looked up through tears. "Family?" Angela smiled softly. "Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people your father trusted with his last secrets." Grace nodded. For the first time in years, someone had given her a place to belong. And for the first time since Robert died, Angela felt like she understood her father completely. Helping the world wasn't an accident. It was a legacy. The rain started as a whisper against the windows of Brooks Haven, the animal shelter Angela had poured her life into for the last decade. It was past closing time, the dogs already settled in their kennels, the cats curled in their towers, the faint scent of wet fur and kibble lingering in the air. Angela moved through the routine with the precision of someone who had done it 1,000 times, checking locks, flipping off lights, scribbling tomorrow's volunteer schedule on the whiteboard by the door. The ocean, just beyond the dunes, murmured its eternal song, a sound that had become her lullaby since childhood. She reached for her keys, the metal cool against her palm, ready to head home to the small cottage she'd inherited from her parents. That's when the knock came. Soft. Almost apologetic. Like someone afraid to disturb the night. Angela paused, hand on the doorknob. The shelter was miles from town, tucked away on a gravel road that most people only found by accident. Visitors this late were rare, and in this weather, unthinkable. Another knock. A little firmer. She opened the door a crack, peering into the storm. A woman stood on the porch, soaked to the bone, her thin jacket clinging to her like a second skin. Rainwater streamed from her dark hair, matted and wild from the wind. She clutched something to her chest, a small metal box, rusted at the edges, held so tightly her knuckles were white. Her eyes were red-rimmed, shadowed with exhaustion that went deeper than a single sleepless night. Angela's instinct kicked in, the same one that had her coaxing scared animals out of traps and corners for years. "Come in," she said, pulling the door wider. "You'll catch your death out there." The woman hesitated, then stepped inside, her soaked shoes leaving dark prints on the tile. Angela closed the door against the wind, the howl of the storm muffled now, replaced by the soft hum of the shelter's heater. She grabbed a towel from the stack by the intake desk, always kept handy for wet dogs, and held it out. The woman didn't take it. She stood dripping, shivering, the box still pressed to her chest like a shield. "Can I get you something warm?" Angela asked. "Tea? Coffee? There's a kettle in the back." No answer. The woman's gaze darted around the room, the rows of kennels visible through the glass partition, the posters about spaying and neutering, the donation jar half full of coins. Her breath came in shallow bursts, visible in the cool air. Angela softened her voice. "My name's Angela. This is my place. You're safe here." The woman looked at her then, really looked, and something in her expression cracked. I don't know where else to go." Her voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. She held out the box with trembling hands. This belonged to Robert Brooks. "Your father." The name hit Angela like a wave. Robert Brooks. Dad. Gone 5 years now, but the sound of his name from a stranger's lips was a jolt she hadn't felt since the funeral. She stared at the box, then at the woman's face, searching for any hint of recognition. Nothing. No memory, no story, no whisper of this person in the countless tales her father had told around the dinner table. "Come sit," Angela said, guiding her to the small office off the lobby. The room was cluttered with files, adoption forms, a battered couch where Angela sometimes napped during long shifts. She flicked on the lamp, casting a warm glow over the mess. The woman, still unnamed, sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, the box in her lap. Angela pulled up a chair. "What's your name?" A long pause. The rain pattered harder against the window. "Grace," she finally said. "Grace Turner." Angela shook her head slowly. "I'm sorry. That doesn't ring any bells. My dad, he was a private man, but he talked about people. Friends, co-workers, the animals he loved. I would have remembered you. Grace's lips pressed into a thin line. You wouldn't have. He made sure of that. Kept us separate. Us. Angela's voice caught. Grace's fingers traced the lid of the box, rusty flakes coming off on her skin. Me and my mother. Angela leaned forward, elbows on her knees. The air in the room felt thick, charged with something unspoken. Grace, please. Start from the beginning. Grace took a shaky breath. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She opened the box with careful movements, like she was handling something sacred. Inside lay 3 things: a stack of letters tied with twine, yellowed and soft at the edges, a photograph, creased down the middle, and a small USB drive, the kind you could buy at any drugstore, but this one was scratched and worn. Angela reached for the photograph first. Her fingers brushed the glossy surface, and the image stole her breath. It was her father. Younger, maybe 35, his hair still dark, his smile wide and unguarded. He stood in front of an old pickup truck, one arm around a little girl no older than 5. The girl had pigtails, a gap-toothed grin, and eyes that sparkled with mischief. She wore a dress with tiny flowers, the kind Angela's mother used to sew for her when she was that age. Angela's throat tightened. This is you. Grace nodded, a single tear slipping down her cheek. He saved us, she whispered. Me and my mom. I was 4, maybe 5. I don't remember much, but I remember him. Angela set the photo down carefully, as if it might crumble. Tell me, she said. Everything. Grace wiped her face with the sleeve of her jacket, leaving a streak of mascara. My mom, Emily, she was married to a man who hurt her. A lot. We didn't have anywhere to go. No family, no money. One night, she grabbed me in a backpack and we ran. Ended up at a bus station in Portsmouth. It was late. Cold. She was crying, trying to figure out where to sleep. She paused, her gaze distant, lost in the memory. That's where she met your dad. Robert. He was a bus driver back then, finishing his shift. Saw us sitting on a bench, Mom holding me so tight I could barely breathe. He didn't ask questions at first. Just bought us dinner from the vending machine, peanut butter crackers and a Coke. Said it was nothing. Angela closed her eyes. She could picture it. Her father had always been like that. Quiet acts of kindness, no fanfare. The way he'd leave groceries on a neighbor's porch when they were struggling. The way he'd fix a stranger's flat tire on the side of the road and wave off thanks. He found us a motel, Grace continued. Paid for a week. Gave Mom a number to call if she needed anything. Said he knew a guy who could help with paperwork, get her a new start. And he did. Paid the rent on a tiny apartment for 6 months. Never asked for a dime back. Angela's chest ached. He never told us. Not a word. Grace's voice cracked. He visited sometimes. Not often. Once every few months. Brought groceries, toys for me, books. Taught me how to read with those little picture books about dogs. Said every kid should have a dog story. She smiled faintly, the memory soft around the edges. I called him Mr. Bob. Didn't know his last name until I was older. Angela picked up the stack of letters, her fingers trembling as she untied the twine. The top one was addressed to Robert in careful, slanted handwriting. She opened it, the paper crinkling like dry leaves. Dear Robert, I don't know how to thank you. You've given us more than money, you've given us hope. Grace smiled today. Really smiled. She asked about the man with the kind eyes. I told her he's an angel who doesn't wear wings. I know you want to keep this from your family. I understand. They're your light. We'll stay in the shadows. But please know, your kindness lives in us every day. Emily. Angela read it twice, then a third time. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. He carried this alone, she whispered. All those years. Grace nodded. After Mom died, cancer, when I was 12, he came to the funeral. Stood in the back. Didn't speak to anyone. Just left flowers. White lilies. Her favorite. Her voice broke. He kept helping. Paid first bike. Sent cards on my birthday with $20 tucked inside. Always signed a friend. Angela flipped through the letters. Dozens of them. Thank yous from Emily. Updates about Grace's school plays, her first lost tooth, her fear of thunderstorms. Robert's replies, short, practical, but warm. Tell Grace the thunder is just the sky bowling. She'll be okay. Buy her a good winter coat. Size 10. I'm proud of her report card. Why didn't he tell us? Angela asked, her voice raw. Mom would have understood. I would have. Grace shook her head. He didn't want to burden you. Said you had your own life. Your own struggles. He didn't want you to think he was choosing us over you. Angela laughed, a broken sound. That's so like him. Always protecting everyone but himself. Grace reached into the box again, her fingers closing around the USB drive. He gave me this the last time I saw him. 2 years before he died. I was 25, working dead-end jobs, trying to keep my head above water. He showed up at my apartment with this box. Said, Grace, I'm getting older. If anything happens to me, take this to my daughter, Angela. She runs a shelter called Brooks Haven. She'll know what to do. Angela stared at the drive. Small, black, unassuming. You didn't come when he died. Grace's shoulders curled inward. I was scared, ashamed. I didn't want to show up at your door with some sob story, asking for help. I thought, maybe you hate me. Think I was after something. Money. A handout. I kept the box in a drawer. Told myself I'd figure it out later. But then, her voice dropped to a whisper. I lost my job, my apartment, everything. And I realized, I had nowhere else to go. Angela took the USB drive, her hand steady despite the storm inside her. Let's see what he wanted you to show me. She plugged it into her laptop, the screen flickering to life. A single video file. No title. Just a date. 5 years ago. She clicked play. The image was grainy at first, then sharpened. Her father sat on his old workbench in the garage, the one cluttered with tools and half-finished projects. He looked tired. Chemo had thinned his hair, hollowed his cheeks, but his eyes were bright, alive with purpose. He wore his favorite flannel shirt, the one with the frayed cuffs. He leaned toward the camera, a small smile tugging at his lips. Angela, he said, his voice rough but warm. If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. And it means Grace found you. Good. That's good. Angela's breath hitched. Grace reached over and paused the video, her hand on Angela's arm. You don't have to. No, Angela said. I need to hear it. She pressed play. Robert cleared his throat. I've always been a man of secrets, kiddo. Not the bad kind. Just private. You know that. Your mom used to tease me about it. Said I'd take half my stories to the grave. He chuckled, then sobered. This one's important. He picked up a small wooden carving, a dog, mid-leap, the kind he used to make for Angela when she was little. In my life, I helped 2 families. Yours, and Grace's. Emily and Grace Turner. They were in a bad spot. Real bad. I did what I could. Quietly. No fuss. He set the carving down. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I tell you? Because it wasn't about recognition. It wasn't about splitting my time or my love. It was about doing what needed doing. Grace and her mom. They reminded me every day that kindness isn't a ledger. You don't keep score. Angela's tears fell freely now, dripping onto the keyboard. Robert leaned closer. But I need you to understand something, Angela. Grace isn't a secret I kept from you. She's a secret I kept for you. So you'd never have to carry it. So you could grow up with a dad who was just dad. Not a hero. Not a martyr. Just a guy who fixed buses and loved his family. He paused, his eyes glistening. If she's there with you now, don't look at her like a stranger. Look at her like a mirror. She could have been you, if I hadn't been there for your mom all those years ago. If someone hadn't stepped in when we needed it most. Angela sobbed, a sound that tore from her chest. Grace's hand tightened on her arm. Robert's voice softened. You built Brooks Haven out of love. Out of the best parts of me and your mom. If Grace needs a place, give it to her. Not because you owe her. Not because I asked. But because it's who you are. Be her shelter. The way you've been everyone else's. The video ended. The screen went black. Silence filled the room, broken only by the rain and the soft whimper of a dog in the kennel. Angela stared at the screen, her father's face frozen in her mind. Grace sat beside her, tears streaming down her face, her body shaking with silent sobs. Finally, Angela reached across the space between them and took Grace's hand. It was cold, trembling, but she held it tight. He didn't help you because he pitied you, Angela said, her voice steady despite the tears. He helped you because he saw something worth saving. And he was right. Grace looked at her, eyes wide, searching. I didn't come here to take anything from you. I swear. I know, Angela said. You came because he trusted you to. And he trusted me to listen. She stood, pulling Grace up with her. You're staying here tonight. There's a spare room in the back, used to be storage, but it's got a bed, a heater. Tomorrow, we'll figure out the rest. Together. Grace shook her head. I can't. You can, Angela said firmly. And you will. This is what he wanted. This is what I want. Grace's knees buckled, and Angela caught her, holding her as she cried, deep, wrenching sobs that had been building for years. Angela held her the way her father would have, strong and steady, no questions asked. When the crying slowed, Angela led her to the back room. She found clean sheets, a spare toothbrush, an old sweatshirt of her dad's that still hung in the closet. Grace changed in silence, emerging in the oversized shirt, the sleeves swallowing her hands. Angela made tea, chamomile, the kind her mom used to brew when nightmares came. They sat at the small table in the office, the metal box between them. Family, Grace whispered, testing the word. Angela smiled, soft and sure. Family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes it's the people who show up when the world falls apart. Dad knew that. He lived it. Grace traced the edge of the box. He used to say the ocean doesn't care where the waves come from. They all belong. Angela nodded. He was right. They talked until the rain slowed to a drizzle, then stopped. About Emily's laugh, the way she'd dance in the kitchen to old records. About Robert's terrible jokes, his love of peanut butter sandwiches with the crusts cut off. About Grace's dreams, vague, half-formed, but there. About Angela's shelter, the animals who'd taught her more about trust than any person ever could. When Grace finally fell asleep on the couch, the box clutched to her chest like a teddy bear. Angela covered her with a blanket. She stood in the doorway, watching the rise and fall of her breathing. For the first time since her father died, the hole in her heart felt a little smaller. Not filled, never fully filled, but patched with something new. Something real. She whispered into the dark, I understand now, Dad. I get it. Outside, the ocean roared, steady and eternal. Inside, Brooks Haven held two women, one legacy, and the quiet beginning of a family forged not in blood, but in the spaces between secrets. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, painting the dunes gold. Angela woke early, as always, to the sound of dogs barking for breakfast. She found Grace in the kitchen, attempting to make coffee with the ancient machine. Burnt it, Grace said, holding up a mug of sludge. Angela laughed. Dad's special recipe. He called it motor oil. Said it put hair on your chest. They drank it anyway, standing at the counter, watching the animals stir. A three-legged beagle named Lucky limped over, sniffing Grace's shoes. She knelt, scratching his ears, and he leaned into her like they'd known each other forever. Angela watched, her heart full. You any good with animals? Grace shrugged. I like them. They don't judge. Good, Angela said. Because we've got a litter of kittens coming in today. And I could use an extra set of hands. Grace looked up, eyes wide. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a start, Angela said. Room, board, minimum wage. You help out, you stay. No pressure. No debt. Grace's lip trembled. Why? Because Dad would've. And because I want to. They spent the day side by side, cleaning kennels, bottle-feeding kittens, laughing when a goat escaped and led them on a chase through the yard. Grace had a gentle touch, a quiet way with the scared ones. By afternoon, a shy terrier who'd growled at everyone else was asleep in her lap. That night, they reopened the metal box together. Spread the letters across the table like a map. Watched the video again, this time with dry eyes and full hearts. Angela copied the files to her computer, printed the photo of young Grace and Robert, framed it beside the one of her own childhood. Weeks turned to months. Grace stayed. Learned the ropes. Earned a certification in animal care. Adopted Lucky, who followed her everywhere. The shelter thrived. Donations poured in after a local paper ran a story about the daughter Robert Brooks never forgot. Angela didn't correct them. Let them think what they wanted. The truth was bigger than headlines. One evening, as the sun set over the dunes, Angela and Grace sat on the porch, sharing a beer. The ocean stretched endless before them, waves crashing in their ancient rhythm. Grace raised her bottle. To Robert. Angela clinked hers against it. To family. They drank in silence, the kind that didn't need filling. Later, Angela found a note in the metal box she hadn't seen before, tucked into the lid, written in her father's shaky hand. Angela. If Grace is reading this too, good. Tell her the thunder's just bowling. Tell her she's home. Love, Dad. She showed it to Grace, who laughed through tears. He never forgot. Never, Angela said. And in the quiet of Brooks Haven, with the dogs sleeping and the cats purring and the ocean singing its endless song, two women carried a legacy forward. Not perfect. Not without pain. But whole. Because sometimes, the greatest gifts come in rusted boxes, delivered by strangers in the rain. And sometimes, family is the choice you make when the storm finally breaks.